In my last lecture, we have seen that how can we use fprintf and fscanf functions. In this lecture, we'll see the use of fwrite and fread functions. We are very much familiar with an array as well as a structure. So whenever we need to write the data of a structure variable or an array to a data file, in that case, fwrite function is used. And what about fread function? Fread function is used to read the stored data of a structure or of an array from a data file. Now let's see how do they work. Here it is said that for writing structure variable in a data file, fwrite function is used. Already I have mentioned that one. For reading structure variables from a data file, fread function is used. Okay, and both the functions work with 4 parameters. So this is the place which we need to clarify first. If we see the syntax of fwrite and fread functions, both the syntax are almost same. In case of fwrite, after fwrite, 4 parameters are there. First parameter is the structure variable along with the address operator, then size of that structure variable, then how many records at a time to write, means if I want to write one record at a time, definitely here it will be 1. And after that the file pointer, you are very much familiar with this file pointer. Same thing happens in case of fread function. After fread, 4 parameters are there. First parameter is structure variable along with that address operator. Next parameter is size of that structure variable, how many bytes we are going to store. Then the third parameter is how many records at a time to read. If we want to read one record at a time, definitely it will be 1, and then the file pointer. Now let's see one program which will help us to understand the use of fwrite and fread functions. You can see here we have a structure and the structure name is students. The members of this structure are one integer type variable roll, one character array name which can contain maximum 50 characters, one float type variable marks. Then in the main method we have declared one structure variable array and that variable name is s, and the size of that variable we have given 50, means 50 members or 50 records can be stored. After that, the file pointer I have declared here. Then I have opened a file in G drive under C data files folder, and the file name is student.dat. As I am going to store some records, that means I am going to write some records in that file, therefore the file mode is W. 2 integer variables I have taken. One is I, that is going to work as a loop variable, and another is n, that is going to store the number of students. Now we are just checking if fp is null, that means during opening of the file, if any problem is there, that time definitely fp will get a null value. In that case, will display a message unable to open a file. Otherwise, if everything is okay, if successfully we have opened this file student.dat, then it will come to the else part. In else part, what is happening? Let's see. First we are asking to enter the number of students, and here it is mentioned that maximum 50, because the size of the structure variable that was 50, so 50 members can be there. Then we are entering the number of students, and that is going to be stored to the variable n. Then according to the value of n, this for loop will work. So for I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So n times the loop will be repeated. Inside the loop, what is going on? We are entering the name, the roll number, and the marks. Name is going to be stored to the variable name, roll number is going to be stored to the variable roll, and marks is going to be stored to the variable marks. As all these are structure members, so along with the structure variable we need to use these variables. Therefore always s of I. So when I is 0, s of I means s of 0. This is going to be the first name of the first member of the structure. When I is 1, s of I means s of 1, so that time it will store the second name for the second member. So this way all the values will be stored to the variables, and these values are being represented by s of I. So using fwrite function we are going to write the value of s of I. So ampersand s of I. So whatever we have at present inside s of I, that means the value of name, roll and marks, all those values it is representing. Size of s of I, so entire size in bytes of these variables will be written to the file. One record at a time, because I am going to write one record at a time, but where to write? To fp. fp is what? That file pointer. So this way that record will be written to the file. Then the loop will be repeated, and again in the same way it will ask for the name, roll number and marks of the second record, and that second record also will be stored to the variable s of I, and this time the value of I is what? 1. Last time it was 0. And the second record also will be written to the data file in the same way. So this thing will be repeated according to the number of students. This way several records will write to the data file. After that just we'll close the data file, therefore fclose fp. After closing the data file, we'll open the data file once again for reading purpose. The syntax is same, but this time the file mode is R. Then according to the number of students, the loop will be constructed. So once again, for I equals to 0, I less than n, I plus plus, so according to the number of student, and here the number of student is n, so n times this loop will be repeated. Using fread, we are reading the value of s of I, and the syntax already I have explained, one record at a time we are reading. Then we are displaying the values of that record. So the record of the student, here I plus 1 is given, that means when I is 0, I plus 1, definitely it will be 0 plus 1, 1. So record 1, record 2, record 3, this way the records will be displayed. And every time s of I is representing the record, and all the fields of that record are stored in s of I. Fields means the name, the roll number, and the marks. So at present what we have in s of I, that record will be displayed. So s of I dot name, so that record's name field will be displayed. S of I dot roll, so that record's roll field will be displayed. S of I dot marks, so that record's marks will be displayed. And this will be repeated for a number of students. So all the records whatever we had written in that data file, all those records will be displayed on the screen. After completion of the loop, fclose fp will close the file. So this way this program will work. Now let's compile this program first. Yeah, it's okay. I'm just going to execute it. You see it is asking for the number of students. Say I have given number of students 2. Then it is asking for the name. So I have given this name, roll number, and marks is say this. It is asking for the next record, that is say roll number is say marks is say. You see the record of student 1 Pankaj 3467.00 up to 2 decimal places I am displaying, that's why. The record of the student 2 Rohit 3578.00. So both the records have been displayed on the screen. So I hope this is clear to you. Okay.